Well, it was another awesome trading week this past week. Here's a couple trades that we took from the daily market breakdown videos. Let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. Alright, starting the forecast off with the US dollar index COT report. The past week, the banks got rid of 595 longs, and they also got rid of 858 short positions. Now, the dollar is pretty clear in my opinion. Now, if you look on the 4-hour time frame, my top right chart, and the 1-hour time frame, my bottom right chart, you can see that we are pretty much objectively in a downtrend on both of those time frames. So I think that, it's very clear that the dollar is in a downtrend right now, at least on those time frames. The problem with it though is, look here in the daily chart, I don't really call this a daily downtrend. What I would say is this is daily momentum. I don't really call this a downtrend. I do have rules for downtrends. This isn't really qualifying as a downtrend based on my own personal rules. Now, the problem with, the dollar here is, where is the dollar headed to? And it's tricky. Let me know in the comments down below where you think the dollar is headed to. If we do continue to push down, I see an absence of demand here. Like, there is some sort of buying here. We could see it bottom out soon, but just looking at the daily chart and even the weekly chart I'm going to pull up here in a minute, there's really no clear demand that we could say, oh, okay, I think the dollar's going to head down to this demand and push up, just like you could have said down here when price was rallying down. We could say, okay, price was probably going to hit that demand and rally. Now, I really don't see anywhere here, and this, we could say our nearest long-term target would be to 101, back down to this weekly demand. The problem with that, though, is that this demand is so tested so deep that I pretty much don't call it there anymore. And what we could actually see taking place right now is something like this, where we continue to push down the dollar long term, break that low, create a beautiful weekly downtrend, and it, be shorts galore with the dollar at that point. But at this point right now, I really see a no quality area of demand on the weekly chart or the daily chart where I could be like, hey, that's where we are probably headed. And that's actually a pretty decent sign. So to go over to the 4-hour chart right now, this is a beautiful 4-hour downtrend. I mean, if you guys remember from last week's forecast, I believe I pointed out this 4-hour supply, or 2 forecasts ago. Great move off that supply and rallying down. We have a beautiful downward trend line as well. This thing is just looking very, very solid to the downside. So I still think looking for, so basically, as long as we have this 4-hour downward trend line in play, I think looking for continuation moves to the short side are going to be fine on the dollar. If we do rally back up to supply on the daily chart, or sorry, on the 4-hour chart at 105.46, I think we could see a move off of that supply. But at the end of the day, we have a 4-hour downtrend, we have a 1-hour downtrend, and we have, I would say we have profit margin down to at least 101, long term. Obviously, if you're on a 1-minute chart, you maybe shouldn't hold all the way to 101. I mean, you can if you want, that'd be great, but it's a long hold. But all I'm saying is, we have 4-hour, 1-hour downtrend, which means we could be day trading short, and we have profit margin on the higher time frames. So my end summary conclusion on the dollar this week essentially is, as long as we have this 4-hour and 1-hour downtrend, day trading shorts in the dollar are going to be okay, and there's really nothing else to say other than that. All right, on to the forecast for the EURUSD. The past week, the banks added 8,707 long contracts, and they also got rid of 11,144 shorts. Now, this is a daily chart here of the euro, and something significant happened this past week. We actually had this supply from back here. We reacted off the supply. So basically what that means is this was a proven supply zone, in my opinion. And even as you can see, the third time we came in contact with it, yes, we did end up breaking it here. But you can see we actually hesitated first before we based out and broke above. So, in my opinion, that's a pretty significant thing here. Pretty significant event here on the euro. Now, obviously, if we do push down to this daily demand, down to 1.07, I think it's a great area to look for longs out, especially if you consider how strong this demand was, right? Like I said, this demand broke a supply that was tested once and twice, and basically respected it twice. So this is a significant demand zone in my opinion. So, long-term perspective, if we do start to turn around here, we could day trade short down to this daily demand. But right now, as you can see, based on this candle on our lower time frames, there's really no sign of the euro turning around. But just wanted to also point out, if we do pull back down to this daily demand and I'm not around or whatever, that is a decent demand zone to look for longs at 1.07 on the daily chart here. And even on the 4-hour chart on the euro, we have a beautiful 4-hour uptrend. All signs are really pointing to the upside here. If we do get that deeper pullback down to there, that's a good area. I believe that's inside of the daily zone as well. But really for now, we really just want to, when we have a 4-hour uptrend, that means that on the, essentially what it means is on the 15-minute time frame, we could be looking for longs. So we really just want to be on day trading time frames, even a 5-minute time frame as well, if the H1 is trending. So as long as we have this 4-hour uptrend, it's longs all the way here on the euro US dollar. Pullbacks to 15-minute and 5-minute demand zones are going to be good. But remember, guys, once we start to go like this, maybe break the low, start to kind of go sideways here, maybe test the trend line and break lower, at this point, day trading longs are getting a little bit sketchy, right? Because at that point, we could say, maybe we're not, maybe we're headed lower, right? So we need to be really watching this 4-hour upward trend line to see what takes place. And on the 1-hour chart here, we actually had a beautiful trade off this 1-hour demand zone, and I pointed this one out in the daily market breakdown video last week. If you want access to these daily market breakdown videos throughout the week, I'm actually running a Black Friday sale right now. This Black Friday sale ends November 27th. We have 15% off of the monthly diamond memberships on WAP.com. Links will be in the description down below. And we have 15% off of lifetime memberships. I don't know if I said it right, but 50% off of the monthly membership for the next 2 weeks. Till November 27th, that sale will be running. And then, like I said, 50% off monthly, 15% off of the annual. Not the annual, but the lifetime subscription. So we'll be happy to see you guys join the team. Like I said, this sale will be running to the 27th. And as far as the lifetime sale goes, the 15% off lifetime access, there will only be 5 spots. So if you want, check it out. Links will be in the description. This is only available on WAP.com. It is not available on Patreon or on YouTube, because Patreon and YouTube do not allow me to run these types of promo codes. So promo code is Black Friday for the monthly subscription, and for the lifetime subscription, it is Black Friday Lifetime. So we'd be happy to see you guys join the team. Hopefully a lot of you guys capitalize on this opportunity. All right, on to the forecast for gold. The past week, the banks got rid of 7,301 longs, and they also got rid of 3,539 shorts. Now, looking at the daily chart here of gold, we had a beautiful reaction off of this daily demand zone to the upside. I don't know if you guys remember me pointing this one out from a couple forecasts ago, but we have been waiting for that daily demand zone to look for longs. Now, we are kind of approaching the highs here. It might not be the best idea to just hop on long now, but with demand and control, I think it's fine to continue to look for longs. Now, on the 4-hour chart, we don't really have a 4-hour uptrend. It's essentially just going sideways if you look at this. Yes, this is some pretty nice upward momentum, but what that actually is a 1-hour uptrend. So on the 1-hour, this is a beautiful 1-hour uptrend. I think it's great, and I don't really like the idea of trading long with this demand down here at 1966. If we break, if we do hit that zone, obviously it'll be below the trend line. But at the end of the day, I think looking for longs down here at 1966 would be a decent pullback here on gold. So like I said, we don't really want to be chasing at the highs here. You can, but for now in gold, we either want to wait for this to take place, really start to break out and get that nice pullback to new demand zones formed along the way, or wait for like 1966 on gold to also look for longs. But hey, look, even if you are a day trading time frame and you don't want to wait for the pullback down to this demand zone, we have a beautiful 1-hour uptrend. So what that means is 1 minute and 5 minute time frames. If you trade those time frames, it's longs all the way here as long as we have this 1-hour upward trend line. But be careful. We are getting close to testing this trend line. We could actually break below it. But remember, we do have the demand down below. That kind of could be like that backstop to push price higher. So that is my view on gold. And remember, guys, if you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to ask in the comments down below. But for now, very bullish here on gold. All right, on to the forecast for the USDJPY. The past week, the banks added 26,743 long contracts, and they also added 534 short contracts. Now, on the weekly chart here, I just pulled up the chart. It did look like we broke the high here, but if you look, it is still holding. So I mean, on the weekly chart, we didn't break that high yet, but I mean, it's so close, guys. I get it if you want to continue to go long, and I pretty much agree. The problem with the USDJPY, though, is it's not very clear. Yes, we are into demand, but it's very tested. If we break lower, this demand is tested. But the thing I noticed here is this demand is tested. I pretty much ignored this wick. So if you ignore this wick, this zone was barely tested, really. So if we do push down and break down to like 148.36 down to this daily demand, I think it's a good area to look for potential longs at. I really don't like this demand zone anymore. It's very tested here, about over 50% of the way in. So in the daily chart, not really in love with the daily chart here and what I am seeing, but at the end of the day, we have a daily uptrend. So I get it if you want to look for longs, but even on the 1 hour chart, we clearly have a 1 hour downtrend right now. It's pretty obvious. So I think day trading shorts are going to be good, in my opinion. You are going counter trend against a daily, but I don't know. It's tricky. And on the 4 hour chart, I mean, look at the end here lately, guys. It's been so wicky and, up and down and up and then halfway down up, and now we're going back down again. And I mean, I guess this demand is being respected down here, but it's been so sideways and so choppy. So with that being said, I take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. I really don't want to be trading this one, but at the end of the day, we have a nice 4 hour supply at 150.43. It's decent. You could use this 4 hour supply as your higher time frame here, guys, and then go down to a lower time frame and look for confirmation on day trading time frames. And why do I say that? Well, because there's really no trend here. It's just sideways price action, really, really choppy. The daily chart's in an uptrend. We are essentially about to contact daily demand. So this is a very risky area. But at the end of the day, this zone did break this upper trend line, and it's a decent move down. So that's why I say we can look for shorts in here, but we want to get that confirmation trade on the USD yen. So if you don't know what confirmation trading is, I have plenty of videos here on YouTube going over confirmation trading in my trading tips playlist video. And as always, I do the video lessons in the Diamond membership as well. All right, on to the GBPUSD forecast. The past week, the banks got rid of 4,735 longs, and they added 6,743 shorts. Looking at the daily chart here, very similar to the euro in a way where, in my opinion, it's clear we have clearly broken out. Now, don't confuse a breakout for an uptrend. Now, what an uptrend would look like would be this. So it would basically require a pretty deep pullback here on the daily chart, which would basically require, some drawdown for, a week or 2 weeks here in the euro. So do not confuse this breakout for an uptrend. I'm not like extremely bullish on the euro. If we had that uptrend, I'd be like, look, longs all the way here on day trading timeframes, swing trading timeframes, position trading timeframes, right? But that's just not the case right now here on the pound. So, like I said, we are breaking out to the upside, no trend, but it is indicating some pretty strong price action, and that is actually why I was showing members this 4 hour demand zone right here at 1.22. We got a beautiful, well over 5-to-1 trade here on the 4 hour chart. This was a beautiful 4 hour demand zone that removed supply and an upward trend line. Essentially a classic confirmation entry here on the 4 hour chart. So beautiful trade right there, and what we are essentially looking for now, we have new 4 hour demand here at 1.23. Now this area is not as great as this zone for a few reasons. I'm not going to get into detail here, but this zone is still good. We had a pretty nice move off this zone. So if we do pull back down to 1.23 on the 4 hour chart, that's where I would be looking for longs at. But it's also possible, if it's around this trend line, we actually break down lower or something like that. So at the end of the day, this is a nice 4 hour demand zone here we could be looking for longs at, and we have a 4 hour and pretty nice uptrend. So I think looking for day trading longs as well is going to be good. So you guys are going to notice a theme throughout this whole video. It's very, very similar where there's really, on most of the pairs, there's really no trend on the daily or the weekly chart, which means that you got to be sticking to swing trading. There's not a lot, to day trading. There's not a lot of swing trading opportunities right now unless you want to be a little bit risky, except for some decent entries like that on the pound like we got there. But at the end of the day, nice 4 hour, 1 hour uptrends here on the GBP USD. So I think as long as we have those trends in play, it's longs all the way for sure here on the pound. On to the USDCAD forecast. The past week, the banks added 4,189 longs, and they also added 1,507 shorts. Now, daily chart here, the overall trend is up in my opinion. Now, as predicted, I think I said last week or at least 2 weeks ago, we had this daily supply at 1.38, and we were struggling to break it. We had a beautiful reaction off of it. Not a huge move, maybe not a 3-to-1 move. So I am actually expecting this to continue to break up and break that high. But at the end of the day, we have a daily supply that we are struggling to get through. And on the 4-hour chart, it's not been super clear. We had a 4-hour supply that essentially whipped out above it, but depending on where your stop loss was, that would have been a decent little trade right there. But there's just really nothing clear. I mean, with the daily trend up, we want to favor longs, in my opinion. Now, it is tricky with the dollar, the DXY, what's going on there. So but the USDCAD is definitely not an easy one to trade as far as correlation goes. But really, all I'm seeing is this supply at 1.38. Now, again, like some of the other pairs, this is counter trend. It's sideways. It's not super clear. So I think looking for a confirmation is going to be best on a 15-minute or a 5-minute chart minimum. So that's really all I'd be doing here on the USDCAD. And look, if we do this, and let's say you don't get any confirmation, we just shoot above, break both of these supply zones, and we are left with 4-hour demand. That would be our trade right there. And as always, I will have this zone on my chart for the members where they get my chart link, where I update the zones on that as well. So that's what I'd be waiting for longs here on the USDCAD. And then for shorts, really the only thing I'm seeing is this 4-hour supply. So really just going to all revolve around that 4-hour supply here on the USDCAD. But remember, the overall momentum and trend here on the daily chart is up. All right, on to the Aussie US dollar. The past week, the banks got rid of 1,321 longs, and they also added 4,072 shorts. Now, I'll keep it simple and quick here, I guess, on the Aussie. We have a 4-hour uptrend here. There is no 1-hour upward trend line. And a lot of these pairs look the same. When we have a huge move like this in a lot of the pairs, just overall, we're going to see very, very similar markets. And the problem when we get these huge moves is, yes, it does create good demand zones that we can trade from. I will absolutely agree with that. But the problem is there's really no demand along the way, right? So the pullback to demand is a deep pullback. And at that point, if we get that, to me, this is going to look like a sideways market. And I don't really want to be trading in sideways markets. So really, we are just waiting. Look, we have a 4-hour uptrend. So again, like I've been saying, 5-minute, 50-minute longs are definitely okay. Pullbacks to demand at 0.638 could be good as well on the 4-hour chart here. Other than that, I'm really not seeing a whole lot here on the Aussie. Probably not one I'd be looking to trade unless we start to pull back down to demand zones. So I do think some of the other pairs are a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it's the daily chart's kind of sideways here. On the pound and the euro, at least we broke out, right? And what I actually like about the Aussie is we actually have a pretty clear daily supply at 0.666. Up there, so we could react off that supply zone, but the problem is we didn't really break out of here that great. So compared to the euro and the pound, we kind of broke out. Here we were kind of just going sideways a little bit, not really breaking out, but you could kind of take the euro and the pound and all that and be like, okay, I think the Aussie's going to fall and we're going to continue to go up. I would agree with that. So you definitely, I think favoring longs is going to be okay. We have a clear profit target, like I said, up to 0.666 at that daily supply. So as far as the Aussie goes, again, as long as we have the 4-hour, 1-hour uptrends, it's definitely day trading longs on the way. I know I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but it is what it is, and that's just the reality of it. All right, on to the USDCHF. The past week, the banks added 50 longs, and they also got rid of 2,539 shorts. Top-down approach here on the weekly chart. We are into weekly demand. This is very, very poor quality weekly demand. Not a fan of this stair-stepping pattern here, but it is some sort of demand. So you could see at minimum, we could see some hesitation from the 0.885 to the 0.874 area. So we could see some hesitation here. So be careful on those shorts, and even on the daily chart here, we actually created a daily downtrend. So that's a great sign for shorts, in my opinion. We just kind of break a little bit lower to really test that weekly demand, and then I think shorts are going to be good because we are now contacting daily demand at 0.885. and we could react from demand to supply and back down again. So this is the move I think we could see. It's definitely possible. I don't really like to predict, this move, then this move, then all the way back down here. That's a lot of moves to predict. But at the end of the day, we are into daily demand, and we could react to the upside off of that daily demand. So I definitely would be cautious for shorts. We did get a great short here off this 4-hour supply zone. This is another trade I pointed out in the daily market breakdown video. So that was a great 4-hour supply zone short. And, if any of the members are watching this video, you guys should definitely look to take profits at this point because we are approaching that daily demand, and we could easily start to see some of those profits start to get eliminated as we contact the daily demand and potentially start to push up. So really not seeing any trading opportunities right now. Yes, we have a 1 hour downtrend. I think day trading shorts, they're going to be okay still, but like I said, that daily demand's in control. So any shorts, remember, daily demand's in control. It's risky, right? I never really say don't short, because obviously this demand could just blow right through, just like this one did. But it's always better to be safe than sorry, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, we have a daily downtrend, and that's a very, very strong sign that we could continue to go down. And as far as longs go, I'm not seeing a whole lot here. I mean, we could be looking for day trading confirmation in that daily demand. I get that. But with the trends being so strong on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily chart, I'm really not seeing any reason to go long. But that doesn't mean we just hop in short, right? That's just the reality of trading, right? And what I like to teach and tell people is discipline, patience. And this is a time where it's tricky, where we are approaching weekly demand and daily demand that are both not the best quality zones against an overall trend, and it's tricky, but that's why we need to display some patience here and wait for a clear setup like we had up here on the 4 hour chart. So, but on the USD Swiss, I mean, look, 4 hour, 1 hour downtrend, daily downtrends, I think shorts are going to be okay, but just make sure that you're following your rules and it makes sense. Last but not least, we are on to crude oil. The past week, the banks got rid of 16,772 longs, and they also added 3,464 shorts. We have a beautiful daily downtrend right now, a demand zone in control. We have a supply zone above at 78.12. I think we'll struggle to get through that supply, so we definitely could see some sort of move off of that daily supply zone, in my opinion. So if we do contact that supply, once we hit 78, be cautious on longs for sure. So we have a daily downtrend. I think looking for shorts is going to be okay. We are into 4 hour supply right now. We could be on a lower time frame looking for shorts off of that supply, but we actually could push up a little bit higher to that daily supply, like I was saying. But at the end of the day, nice 4 hour downtrend. 1 hour downtrend as well. The confirmation, so look, we are into some sort of weekly demand. I think oil, I'm bullish oil like long term. Now, where are we going to turn around at? I don't know. We are trading against, if you want to get in long, you're trading against a pretty strong daily downtrend, so it is risky. So what I be looking at bare minimum for confirmation long, I need to at least see this supply and the downward trend line removed. And if we have any 4 hour demand here, this would be our confirmation. We could look to get in long there. And as always, I will have that zone on the chart for the members who have access to my daily chart analysis. So I will have that zone on the charts. That's what I'm looking for here on oil. Basically looking to see this supply removed. I also want to see reactions off the supply. Like that would be fantastic as well. Something like that, and then maybe a big shoot up, creating demand and a nice long entry right there. So that's what I'd be looking for here on crude oil. But at the end of the day, it doesn't, just because I'm looking for longs on a swing trading time frame, it doesn't mean I don't think we could be looking for shorts either, as we pull back into supply with that daily 4 hour and 1 hour downtrend. Oil definitely looking weak, but like I said, I also see merit for looking for longs as well. We just need to wait for that confirmation first. And if you guys want to watch the full length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.